Hi, my name is Kweku King. This is for Perspective on Music and Society, Fall Class 2016. I had a write about Franz Schubert and Frederick Chopin. Uh, these are two romantic composers. Um, they they were two of the best composers of all times per se. They definitely had their own perspective on music in different ways, but they still touch people to this day. Like for instance, Schubert, uh, his this music, this sense of music thing that they had going on at the time that he got started, uh, went on to produce something called the Eric King. I would have never known if I wasn't in the class. If I haven't heard it before because I've heard this piano piece so many times. Dun 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 dun. It just caught my ear, and I was like, so he's the reason why this song even came about, but I didn't even know there was words to it. So it was just interesting to me, just music. I have a love for music. I love all types of music, and this guy is incredible. Chopin, I mean, I could always remember people talking about Chopin, never knew how to pronounce his name. And my father had to actually get me to pronounce his name correctly, Chopin. Um, so here's my paper. I hope y'all enjoy it. Uh, Franz Schubert and Frederick Chopin. In the textbook, understanding music, past and present, Romanticism might be defined as a cultural movement stressing emotion, imagination, and individuality. Most of the best composers came from this era. The two composers I'll be writing about is Franz Schubert, 1897 to 1828, and Frederick Chopin, 1810 to 1849. Their works are highly noted, and they have a big impact on music in that era and the history of music as well. Franz Schubert was born in Himmelsport-Grund, Austria. He learned his style of music by the greats of the classic period. He learned music on various instruments such as the violin, the organ, and the piano. Schubert also took voice lessons and learned musical harmony. He was proven to be a genius as he grew. At the time in Vienna, Ludwig van Beethoven, a German composer, and Gaussen, an opera music composer, drove Schubert to bring about the style of music. Schubert wrote symphonies, church music, and operas. He claimed to be a part of history and music. He claims his part in music, in history, with the Lied, a German style of music that mixed poetry and music. He used the piano to accompany poems in a way some sort of short-length opera was brought to life. In Vienna, the music events came to be called Schubert Theades. One of his more famous songs mixed opera, poetry, and piano together was called the Erlking, 1815, by Johann Wolfgang van Gogh. It is about a man taking his sick, dying son to a doctor while they are riding horseback through the night. The boys keep seeing the Erlking. He's supposed to be some sort of reaper that takes children. Supposed to be like some type of fairy king that's telling the boy he's coming to take his soul. The father tells his son that he's only seeing things. When they reach the center of town, the father realizes his son passed away. This was an incredible piece of music, and the piano part is still used to this day in media. The biography of Franz Schubert. Franz Schubert was born January 31st, 1797, in Himmelsport-Grund, Austria. He was the fourth son of parents Franz and Elizabeth Schubert. He was the first instructed by his father and older brother Ignaz into his music venture. Franz went to Stadtkonvent, a school for vocalization. He wanted to sing in the Imperial Court Chapel. In 1808, he became a singer in the court that they gave him a scholarship for the school he was attending. Antonio Salieri, a famous organist, called Schubert a musical genius. He became a lead violinist and practiced chamber music and piano with his peers. Schubert's voice broke in 1812. Though he had to stop going to school, he was still instructed by Salieri for 3 years. Schubert, forced by his family to go to teacher's training, ended up working for his father's school. Franz Schubert was a schoolmaster and still composed music for 4 years. He became destined professional songwriter between 1813 and 1815. He wrote string quartets, piano pieces, a symphony, and a few operas. In 1818, he stopped teaching because his growing audience due to a performance of one of his works, Italian Overture in C major, March 1st, 1818, in Vienna. In 1820, Schubert came back to Vienna. He composed Die Zwillingbruder, the twin brothers. In He gained a lot of followers. He also put some music into a play called Die Zauberhof, the magical harp. He did have a few misses in his works with the Karthenthot Theater and Theater in der Wien to compose two operas that did not do so well. Nobody wanted to take chance working with him because his style was still new. His life started getting better in 1821, when some friends started selling his subscriptions of his work. Schubert's music was very popular in Vienna. Schubertin was starting to be found in wealthy homes around the city. In 1822, it was hardships for Schubert. He wasn't making enough money to cover his expenses. His friends seemed to be draining him. He was believed he was beginning to fall ill, and historians believe he may have caught syphilis. He still continued to make music such as Wonder of Fantasy, Eighth Symphony, Die Schule Merlin, Dies Verschworen, and Ferrara Brass. In 1824, after his work didn't bring him much success and still diminished health, he created String Quartet in A minor, String Quartet in D minor, and Octet in F major. He also produced Piano Sonata in C major, Grand Duo in Divertissement à la Hongroise. In 1826, when Schubert's life was almost coming to an end, he went for a title deputy music director at Staatskonvikt. Though he attained so much recognition, he was not chosen for the job. He did begin to see better days with his music works. He was working out deals with 4 publishers. In 1827, he composed String Quartet in G major, Piano Sonata in G major. This was also the year one of his idols, Ludwig van Beethoven, died. Excuse me. Through Beethoven's inspiration, he created his first 12 songs of the Winteris and the Piano Sonata in C minor. Franz also created impromptus and Moments Music Aux. They are both piano solos. In 1828, he didn't stop making music in his sixth state he was in. He created one of his most famous piano duets, Fantasy in F minor, along with Great Symphony, Mirjam Sesang, and his last 3 piano sonnets in C minor, B flat, and A major. Frédéric Chopin. Frédéric Chopin was born in 1810. He was the son of a Polish mother and a French father. He was raised in a middle-class family and had many people to help him, living amongst the wealthy and academics, to assist him create his profession. His mother introduced him to music, and by the age of 6, Wojciech Zawey, a professional musician, gave Chopin music lessons and became better than his instructor. He learned keyboard music from Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven. He did his first tour of Europe in 1830. While in his first week on tour, his home country was invaded by Russia. While on tour, he received a passport and moved to Paris, and where artists were received with open arms. His first compositions were impressive to the people in Paris. Chopin showed his skill on the piano. He made exclusive music for the amateur and the elite. Chopin made some very creative music over the time he lived. The biography of Chopin, Frederick Chopin. March 1st, 1810. Chopin was born to Zelawa Walla, Poland. By 1818, Chopin was writing his own compositions and playing in salons. Chopin in 1826 composed several piano pieces in different styles. By 1829, Chopin had his first performance. In 1832, Chopin settled in Paris after performing in Poland, Germany, and Austria. While in Paris, he worked with a recitalist and a teacher. He worked as a recitalist and a teacher. He composed works such as Nocturnus of Op. 9 and 15, the Scherzo in B flat minor on Op. 31, and the Sonata in B flat in minor Op. 35. In 1838, Chopin started a love affair with Amtine Lucille Aurore Dupin, aka George Sand. She was a French writer that used a male's name for easier publishing. In 1839, Chopin contracted tuberculosis and went to Marseille to be nursed back to health. He composed his greatest pieces of work while his health was getting better. These pieces were Sonata in B minor, the Opus 55 Nocturnes, and Opus 56 Mazurkas. These works brought Chopin great wealth and happiness. In 1840, Chopin started to develop what historians thought to be epilepsy. Being that they weren't married and people were wondering why they were living so loosely, Sand wrote about their relationship in a book called Luciano Floriani, 1846. October 17, 1849, Chopin died at the age of 39 years old. His heart was sent to a near place where he was born, and his body was buried in Père Lachaise Cemetery. My work is cited by Understand Music Past and Present, in biography.com, People Front Schubert, #Impact, in biography.com, Frederick Chopin, #Life in Paris. I thank you very much, and I enjoyed this semester. I hope everyone else did. Thank you for the opportunity, and have a great vacation.